Hey there to all you MKS aficionados. This is Tom Holstrom here with Nova Solutions Group, and today I thought I would run through the Eclipse integration with MKS Integrity 2009. I happen to be running Service Pack 6 of 2009, but it works with any of the 2009 and 2007 versions of Integrity. So what I've got on the screen right now is, of course, Eclipse. I happen to be running the Helios version, but pretty much all the versions of Eclipse, the latest contemporary Ganymede and Europa, are supported, as well as RSA and some of the IBM platforms or variants of Eclipse. But within Eclipse, you'll notice that I've got a couple of things that are enabled. First of all, you'll notice that I've got this concept of an MKS work tray. The work tray contains items and allows you to view the MKS items directly. I happen to be running a query called My Active Tasks and Defects, but I can run pretty much any query that I happen to have in Integrity that I have access to. Down on the bottom, there's a couple of other options. One is an icon that allows me to launch the MKS client, but for the most part, there's no need to have the GUI portion of the client that's running. The client actually is running. You'll notice down on my system tray, for those that are familiar with MKS, this is the session manager and indicates that the MKS client is running. It just so happens that the GUI portion is not. I also have a drop down here which indicates the change package that I would be using for active development. In this case, I don't have any change packages, and I'll actually be creating one. Some other options here in the toolbar. I can create a change package. I can work offline. And then the fast view standard Eclipse option. So what I thought I would do initially is I've got a brand new workspace in Eclipse, and some development has been done prior by potentially another associate. It's in the repository. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the MKS project. And the way I would do that is under File, Import, Project from MKS. And here is the test project. I can indicate whether or not I want the mainline development, a variant, or in the event that I want to do a build, I could select a build sandbox and select the checkpoint. So I'm just going to select normal, since this is a very simple use case here. So I'll click finish, and what's happening is the Eclipse is reaching out to Integrity and created my project for me. So here it is. Not much to it. It's Hello World. You'll notice that Hello World is version 1.1, and you'll get badges within Eclipse that kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So I've imported my project, so that's a simple use case. So let's go ahead and make some changes. Now, typically speaking, you're going to have Integrity items that are assigned to you, and you'll need to create change packages. I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to assume that you understand that. Now, one of the things that I will mention with regard to the Eclipse integration, it's important that you use change packages. You have to use change packages as mandatory, and they must be associated with Integrity items, or it's recommended they're associated with Integrity items. The other thing I would mention with regard to client configuration, I would turn off all the prompts for logging you into multiple servers. It makes the experience a lot more smooth. It's not required that you do that, but you don't get the dialogues to log into Integrity. It automatically does that for you. So, all right, I'm going to make, let's say there was a problem with Hello World, and I need to make a fix. So, let's say in this case, character not readable. That's the defect that I want to work on. So what I'm going to do, as you know, is create a change package. And I'm going to create this change package against 724. That's going to create my change package for me. It's automatically selected now down here in my change package selector, and this indicates what changes are going to be, the change package that the changes are going to be associated with. So what I can do here, I'll just add another. Now when I begin to edit, what will happen is it's actually going to place a lock in the repository. Notice that my badge changed in Eclipse to indicate that 1.1 is locked. I can then make some changes. Having typing issues here. Okay. And there are my changes. Now what I can do is I can actually say We can see actually the lock badge now. What I can do is then submit those changes. So if I want to commit these changes to the repository, there are two ways that I can do that. Either I can right click on the member under the team option, say submit my changes, and what that will do is submit or check in just hello world.java. Or what I can do is under the MKS menu option, I can select submit active change package, and what that will do is more in line with what I would expect most developers would do, and that is I'm working on a task that involves a number of different members. I don't want to have to go search across all of the members that I'm working on to find out what I've got checked out and what I did to address this issue. So I can just say submit active change package. I typically don't put revision descriptions in, and what it's going to do is check in my changes. I'll say I do want to close my change package, and now I've got revision 1.2 of hello world.java. So that's a simple use case. So what I thought we'd do now is actually create a brand new Eclipse project and then subsequently add that project to MKS. So going through the traditional gestures, I'm going to create a Java project. Now I've got my brand new project, and I'm going to go ahead and add a class. And I'll go ahead and add a main. Let's add some code here. Make sure it's only a test. Okay, there's my Eclipse Hello World, and then as we've seen before, the way that we'll interact with MKS at the project level is just to right click at the project level and then the team option. But before I do that, you'll notice, as we mentioned before, I've got my change package down here, and this may not be the change package that I want to use. So I could create a new change package or create actually a new item. And we didn't show this before, but like I said, here are the different items that I happen to have assigned to me. I'm running a query called my active tasks and defects. That is an MKS query that I have defined. And in this case, if I want to actually look at this item, what I can do is a number of different gestures. The simplest thing is I can select view item, and that will bring up the detailed view. This is actually an integrity dialog, of course, being rendered or called from the Eclipse integration. I can see the details of this task. I can see the details of this defect. And of course, depending on your integrity items, it would bring up your items, your item types, not necessarily these. These are the standard ALM template item types. But the task at hand here is we just created a brand new project in Eclipse that we want to add to the repository. So what I thought I would do is I'm actually going to take this existing task, write some new code, and create a change package against it. So like we did before, I'll click the Create New Change Package window. And then from here, I'm going to select 84. That's going to create my new change package, and it will automatically select that as my active change package. So here is my 84:1. So what I'm going to do is that's my active change package. I'm going to do a right click on the Eclipse, and I'm going to say Team, Share Project, MKS. And here's where I can specify create a new sandbox for an existing MKS source project. That's not what I'm wanting to do here. I do want to create a new source project and an associated sandbox. And then select to add the files, do all the work for me. I can specify whether or not this is a top level MKS source project, and in most cases I would say for you all it's not going to be. It's going to be within the hierarchy of existing assets that you might have. And you would select a new sub-project, but just for this purpose, I'm going to create one. And I will call this okay. Now you'll notice Eclipse is busy talking to Integrity. And then when it's done creating the project in the repository, what will happen is we'll see that this existing project is then shared. Now it's actually checking in my first class, which was Eclipse Hello World.java. I'll just click OK to all. It's adding the members. Now you'll notice my project has, it's kind of hard to see, has a little sandbox underneath it. If I go into my source, here's my Eclipse Hello World. And I can actually launch my client. You can see this is version 1.1. I can click this button here to launch the client. And I can view this project. So now I'm actually in, there's my Eclipse Hello World.java. Okay. So I'm going to close my Integrity client. And in this case, we wrote our new code. Let's say we're done with this. Like I said before, the simplest gesture is to execute the submit active change package. And I don't believe I mentioned this before, but let's say that I had 25 different members that are checked out and I've done changes against this change package. When I click the submit active change package, it's going to check in all of those members, which saves you a great deal of time. And I'm going to go ahead and indicate that I want to close my change package. Of course, change packages can be reopened later. Now I've got no active change package selected. So we've run through a number of different use cases today, and the initial use case was we had an existing MKS project that we wanted to import into Eclipse. We did that, and then we made some simple changes. The second use case was to create a brand new Eclipse project and add it to the repository. A couple of the other things that I wanted to show here is, let's go ahead and show you how we create items within Eclipse. There's some tools here that when you hover, you'll get some help text. And in this case, it allows us to create a new Integrity item, edit, can refresh my view. And of course, like I mentioned before, I can run different queries and they'll get rendered in Eclipse. And these would be your queries. And the columns are driven by the actual query definition. So if you wanted to alter that, you can go into your query in Integrity and modify that. But what I thought I would do is create a new item. And I can do a new item with a right-click gesture, or like I said up on the toolbar, I have a tendency to lean always towards right-click gestures, just my work pattern. So I'm going to create an item, and in this case, I'm going to create a new defect. And here is my defect template. Associated with whatever project we might be working on. Okay. I can then click apply, which will save my changes. Now this actual defect will not show up in my query, and the reason is my query is constrained by a couple of different things. Number one is the state. Number two is the assigned user. Now in this case, what I can do once I put it in an assigned, actually in a development state, is when it would actually render in my query. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'll assign it to me. I have to specify domain for the defect, and then I'm going to promote this to in development. Now that it's in a development state, the way this workflow has been configured, it will render, and I can create change packages against it. So I'm going to click OK, and then back in my query window here, I'm going to refresh, and there's item 970 or defect 970, and we can continue to iterate through what we've shown before. So that's the Eclipse integration. Very powerful, very handy, and for those that live in Eclipse, the Java developers out there, you can do all of the traditional types of things right within Eclipse. No need to actually launch the GUI, but of course the GUI is always available to you if you want to use it. Now we have our new project checked into the repository and our new member Eclipse Hello World checked in as well. But if I wanted to actually see as a manager or a code reviewer what's going on here, the idea is I can go into this task, view the task, and then under the Change Packages tab, I can actually see that this task we added a brand new project. So here's the eclipse.project file. Here's actually my first class, the class path settings, and the Eclipse preferences for this project. But there are all the net adds, and I can double click and actually see the changes in the repository. So you've got complete traceability all the way from the source asset into the change package into the backing item for the change package. Now in this case, what I'm going to do, what you would typically find is this task, I'm done with this task and I would say that it's been implemented. And now I've got the change package. This item is now locked. If I attempt to create a new change package against this item, it's not in a valid state. So if we look at our workflow here, the only valid states, the way we have the system configured, is only when we're in an in-progress state can we do development. So this is in essence how you can lock your repository so that no one can make any changes. Unless they have a valid item to back the change package, there's no way to make changes in the repository. Very important. But again, the key here being the traceability. Here's our development task where we said that we want to write some new code. Here's my change package, and here are all the adds that I could actually see as a code reviewer. So again, this is the Eclipse integration with MKS Integrity 2009. My name is Tom Holstrom. I thank you so much for watching this videocast, and have a great day. Take care.